Welcome to Black Friday and holiday season without outage. Three real attacks and the roadmap to avoid them. I'm Sergio Galindo, finance manager at Dapango Technology. Joining me is Santiago Gomez, our business developer manager. Santiago, welcome.
Thank you, Sergio. Today, you will see clear metrics, what regulators actually expect, and how to keep operations running when you sell the most. So, Sergio, let's give some real value.
Okay, Santiago, sure. At the end of the year, attempted attacks and the economic impact are on the rise. It's not just a perception, the data confirms it. Let's take a look to the real picture of what's been happening. Let's talk about losses and reports. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center recorded more than 800,000 complaints and over 16 billion US dollars in losses in 2024, a 33% increase compared to 2023. And the most reported crimes: phishing, impersonation, extortion, and data breaches. Now, about the phishing, the ABWG group detected more than 1 million phishing attacks in Q1 2025, significantly more than in the last quarter of 2023. The trend has been rising since Q2 2024, and in the second quarter of 2025, it reached a 13% increase. For the attack trends in 2025, IBM X-Force report an 84% year-over-year increase in phishing emails that install info stealers, malware that steals passwords and session tokens. This allows attackers to gain valid access with malicious intent, and it's not a secret that the shopping season equals day. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency warns that during the holiday season, phishing message and scams mimicking real stores offers increases significantly. Now, simplify the context. During the holidays, there are more trick messages. If someone clicks, an attacker can grab your digital keychain. With those keys, they enter as if they were unemployed. What works? Requires stronger proof to enter and isolate suspicious device quickly.
Thanks for that. So, being in the cloud is part of our daily lives, but continuity is built in layers. Did you notice issues accessing platforms like banking apps, Prime Video, Canva, or even Duolingo? Well, in October 2025, AWS experienced an outage in the US East 1 region, affecting banks like Lloyds, Halifax, and major platforms like Snapchat, Roblox, Signal, Duolingo, Prime Video, and even public services. AWS confirmed it was not a cyber attack, but an internal infrastructure issue with global impact. So imagine this: if the building you live has a blackout, your apartment goes dark too, right? Well, and what's the solution? Have a flashlight and a generator to keep things running. Sergio, talking about tools like antivirus, simple two-factor authentication, and cloud backups help, but they only become truly effective when used with context and practice. And here's how to elevate each layer. For the identity and access, when we talk about protecting access to systems, having just a password isn't enough anymore. Today's attackers use phishing and malwares that steals passwords and session tokens to get valid credentials. The system sees a legitimate login and lets it through without realizing it is an attacker. That's why we recommend using risk-based access, which checks where, when, and from what device someone is logging in. On top of that, we use multi-factor authentication and especially modern, phishing-resistant methods like FIDO2. According to Microsoft and industry research, this kind of MFA can prevent over 99% of breaches when implemented correctly. So to put it simply, if the key looks real, the door's open. That's why we check who's holding the key, from where, and at what time. For the backups, one common risk with backups is storing them in the same environment as the production systems. Without immutability or regular testing, when a breach or failure happens, those backups might not work, or worse, they might be compromised too. To elevate this layer, we recommend using immutable backups stored outside the production environment and regularly testing restoration with documented recovery time objective and recovery point objective. This approach helps reduce the average cost of breach, estimated at around 5.8 million US dollars globally in 2025, and shortens downtime. So the backups are only useful if you have practiced reopening the store in under 60 minutes. Sergio, what about the detection and response?
Cheers, Santiago. Now, the detection and response, what really works when it comes to shopping treats is combining EDR with 24/7 monitoring. These tools allow security teams to detect suspicious activity and contain it within minutes, often before any data is stolen. This approach has been consistently validated in reports like IBM's, X-Force, and other industry forensic studies. To put it simple, the alarm goes off, then we isolate the suspicious box with one click. We preset to verify it and keep sealing. Now, the third parties and APIs consistently in ground risk today comes from malicious scripts and purely security API connections, which allows silent attacks, especially in areas like online payments, webmail, and QR-based advertising. These threats often go unnoticed because they exploit third-party integration. To fortify this layer, websites should use normally CSP on SRI to ensure scripts haven't been tampered with. For APIs, it's key to apply less privileged access, key rotation, and anomaly alert based on usage pattern. To put it simple, if a third party plugs a beacon into your cash register without you noticing, we detect it and cut it off. Now, Santiago, tell us about the regulation and money at the stake.
Sure, Sergio. So authorities expect operational controls and evidence. Paper compliance doesn't prevent fines or losses. Strong operations do. In Brazil, fines up to 2% of Brazilian revenue, capped at 50 million reais per violation, plus data processing suspensions or blocks. In Mexico, over 46 million pesos in fines for violations of the data protection law. In Colombia, the SIC can impose fines up to 2,000 times the minimum wage and suspend operations if issues aren't resolved. Here in the US, regulators expect active safeguards like MFA encryption and audit-ready documentation. The enforcement is steady. And for the PCI DSS, if you handle card payments, technical and operational controls must be verifiable and auditable. In simple terms, the regulators look at what you did and how you prove it. Strong access, detection, and response. This is recovery and clean documentation. Now we're going to talk about the main core of this webinar, the 3 studio cases. So Sergio, what can you share with us?
Santiago, this is the first case. It's the Friday before Black Friday. The sales dashboard is live. Marketing campaigns are running and checkout is flowing smoothly. Meanwhile, an unauthorized connector appears in the storefront. That connector is a third-party script, maybe for analytics, chat, or coupons. That's been altered. Visually, everything looks normal, but behind the scenes, it injects malicious code and redirects sensitive data. At the same time, an operator unknowingly approves a multi-factor authentication. This is request on a cloned login page, giving attackers a valid session. Let me do a quick check here. Do you guys use a third-party apps or tracking pixel on your store? Think about that. This case could have been avoided in 4 ways. The first one, use risk-based access plus TDO2 for every account that touches orders or checkouts. The second one, apply CSP on your front end or reduce reliance on third-party apps if using native checkout. The third one, deploy endpoint detection and response with 24/7 monitoring on DevOps endpoints to detect and isolate unauthorized code change. And the last one, Enforce least privilege and monitoring for integration with alert for unusual export volumes or timing. To close this case, in 2020, Shopify reported an internal incident where support employees accessed data from 200 shops. Even little platforms can have issues. The difference is how you harden what you control. Let's see the case number two, Santiago.
Sure, Sergio. So imagine this. At 6:40 a.m. in a clinic, remote access that wasn't properly secured allowed an attacker to enter laterally into the network. Once inside, they deployed ransomware that encrypts systems, interrupting services and payments. This kind of breach often starts with an exposed remote desktop control, or VPN that lacks hardening. If authentication is weak, the attacker enters as a legitimate user and locks everything down. And how could this have been avoided? Replace exposed remote desk protocol with zero trust network access, or fortified virtual private network plus FIDO2 authentication. This ensures minimal contextual access. Use immutable backups stored outside production, and rehearse restoration with clear recovery time objective and recovery point objective, aiming to recover critical services in under 60 minutes. Apply microsegmentation to contain threats by zones and allow list applications, so only approved software can run. And the last, implement endpoint detection and response with 24/7 monitoring, enabling one-click isolation and evidence preservation. When restoration is rehearsed and documented, the financial and regulatory impact drops significantly. What about the third case, Sergio?
Cheers, Santiago. The shared credentials and operations account used by multiple people shows activity from outside the country at 3 a.m., followed by bulk downloads of orders and delivery routes. Shared credentials make it impossible to track who did what, and if API keys aren't rotated or monitored, attackers can extract large volumes of data quickly. How this could have been avoided? First, use no share accounts with login and regular review of sensitive access. Second, rotate API keys automatically and apply least privilege to each integration. Third, apply risk-based access based on location, time, and device with conditional policies. And the last one, set up alerts for API volumes and velocity with circuit breakers to cut off suspicious activity. Now, I'm going to tell you about a different quick tip. If you still have even one shared credential today, mark your roadmap with 3 role-based identities.
Thanks for that quick tip, Sergio. Now, to move on, let's see the patterns that keep the lights on. Let's start with context-aware identity, which means using risk-based access and FIDO2 authentication to ensure strong security without hurting user experience or conversion. Then, implement detection and response through endpoint detection and response and SOC and MDR. With 24/7 coverage, this allows threats to be contained in minutes with minimal data loss and audit-ready evidence. Next, focus on practice recovery using immutable backups and regular restoration tests, ensuring critical services can be recovered in under 60 minutes. Finally, manage third-party scripts and APIs with tools like CSP and SRI, least privilege access, key rotation, and usage alerts, keeping checkout flows and sensitive data under control. As we saw earlier, contains faster, restore target, and prove it. That sequence avoids fines and protects revenue. So, we have shown how attackers reach your front door and how to contain the impact. Feeling like there are many moving parts like monitoring, detection, action, audit, response, recovery is normal. For most companies, that means multiple disconnected vendors, tools that don't talk with each other, rising costs, and a heavier burden on the tech team. At the Pango, we think differently. We simplify it so it works in your day to day. Right, Sergio?
That's right, Santiago. Now we build BRAS, Business Resiliency as a Service, an operational ecosystem that orchestrates identity, endpoints, network, cloud, third parties, and recovery. The goal, see earlier, contain faster, restore on target, and prove it. This is not a tool list. It's integrated layers we operate with you. Advanced cybersecurity, IT and cloud, compliance, disaster recovery, business intelligence, and BCIO.
BRAS is like having a complete ID team, but without having to hire it yourself. Imagine your company having access to 6 key pillars that work together to protect, optimize, and grow your digital operation. First, the advanced cybersecurity. Here we are talking about sensors that detect unusual behavior in your systems, as if someone were trying to get in without your permission. The best part is that we isolate that threat with a single click while you continue working, and a specialized team investigates and responds in real time. This means that if something happens, it is contained in minutes, and you have all the evidence ready for audits or forensic analysis. Next is IT and cloud management. Many companies have cloud services, right? But they don't know how much they spend or how they are configured. BRAS gives you full visibility. You can automate tasks, control configurations, and reduce unnecessary expenses. It's like having a control dashboard that shows you everything happening in your digital infrastructure. The third pillar is regulatory compliance. If your company needs to comply with regulations like HIPAA, PCI, or LGPD, BRAS helps you keep everything in order. You not only get dynamic reports, but also control libraries and requirements tracking. This way, you can demonstrate that you are compliant without having to scramble when an audit comes. Now, let's talk about disaster recovery. What happens if your system goes down? Have you think of that? Well, BRAS has immutable backups, prioritized restoration, and even an alternate site to continue operating. This allows you to maintain continuity even in critical moments, with defined recovery times such as less than 1 hour for essential systems. We also include business intelligence. This goes beyond security. It allows you to make data driven decisions. BRAS channels security, operational, and business information so you can see the impact of each action, how much it costs, what risk it involves, and how it affects your results. This way, you make decisions with context, not assumptions. And finally, the BCIO, which is like having a virtual chief technology officer. This service helps you define priorities, budgets, and a clear roadmap tailored to your industry. It is reviewed every quarter, so you always know where you stand and where you are heading.
That sounds great, Santiago. Now the question is, one, this tailored to your reality? We propose a private resiliency advisory sessions. In 19 minutes, we map your architecture, prioritize short, medium, long-term actions, and deliver a personalized roadmap.
You live with prioritized risk and actionable controls. We set target RTO, RPO, and the drills you need, and you get an executive summary for leadership and finance. Profit boost to 50%, combining technology and process to lift profit by 50% in 90 days or less. If you book your assessment, we will evaluate in your session whether you qualify an online scope.
Now, so remember, first, secure resiliency and continuity. From that base, we accelerate growth. That's the right order. ¿Es que lo repita? Voy a repetirlo. So remember, first, we secure resiliency and continuity. From that base, we accelerate growth. That's the right order.
Thanks to all of you to give us the most valuable thing you have, your time. We really appreciate it and hope you stay connected with us. Thanks again.